So the CFA Institute has given us a different scoring system. Not exactly different, but they've made it more transparent. You've got more information how these scores are provided. So how would your report card look like? Let's just go through it very quickly. And when we are seeing the report card, when we are seeing how the exam score is going to be presented, we will try to understand what we need to do in order to pass the exam also. In terms of what is the kind of score we need, what is the minimum passing score we need in order to pass the exam. So let's see. So first of all, what we are having over here is we are going to be having a scale scores. So we will not have, say for example, you will not be getting out of 100 marks or out of 100 questions or 90 questions or whatever number of questions, whether you got 70 right or 60 right or 50 right. That is not the question over here. That is not what you will get. You will get something called the scale score. Now, why do you need the scale score? So there are two terms. One is your raw score, one is your scale score. Now, level 1, 2, 3, all the three levels are going to be following the same format. So we need to understand this. It's better. Raw score means that out of, let's say, 180 questions, how many total questions were correct? Let's say 140 were correct. So 140 becomes your raw score. That is not what you will be provided. There will be a scaling of your raw score to provide you a scaled score. What do you mean by a scaled score and why do we need it? Because, for example, when I'm attempting the exam today, the permutation combination of questions that I get might be different. After 5 days, what she's attending might be a little different. Maybe from February to May batch, the question set that she gets is a little different. And what Yash gets in November could be a little different. He might get a little extra mix of difficult questions. She might get an extra mix of easy questions. So that scaling is going to be done that if you people got the same test, then what would have been your score? Because everybody is appearing with different versions of the exam. So if everybody had the same version of the exam, then what would be your score is a standardization we are doing. How it is done statistically, etc. We'll not need to get into those details, but you need to understand that yes, we are going to get scale scores, which removes any advantage or disadvantage that anybody else might be having with respect to that I got an easy paper, I got a difficult paper. Not that the variation in difficulty level will be too much. And this is also not going to be for one term, but across exams, you have the scale score. So it is based on a lot of data, a lot of questions, a lot of difficulty level, etc. analyzed. So it is not just for one exam term, but it is across years and exam term. All right. So this is going to be implemented from February 2025 onwards. So February 25 onwards, we're going to be having this. It will give you a more precise representation compared to your minimum passing score. I'll show you the report card exactly how it will look like, your scorecard. You will still receive your pass or do not pass. Obviously, you will get your result and the breakdown of the result. You will get the subject-wise breakup also. We'll see this. The only thing is level 3 students who pass will not get the breakup or the exact score. They will just get pass or did not pass. They will not get the that how far you are from the minimum passing level, etc. You'll not get more details. The ones who pass, the ones who do not pass will get the same breakup. Let's see how the new report card is going to look like. So the first section, we are going to be talking about the result part. How does your result look like? So when I'm looking at the exam result, your name is there, your institute ID will be there, your exam term is there. Anyways, I'm bothered about this part, whether your result is pass or not pass. Along with that, your score is going to be given and minimum passing score is given. Now, before I get into the details, so when I'm looking at, for example, CFA level 1, I will have a minimum passing score is going to be 1000, maximum is going to be 1900, and 1600 is going to be pass. So if your score is over here, you pass, and if your score is over here, you do not pass. Now we'll have to see whether you're passing or not will depend on your minimum passing score. Now this is not a percentage. This is not your raw score, that how many questions you marked correctly. This is a scaled score based on some statistical process. We've understood that idea. So we are going to be discussing scaled score. So your score is given over here and the minimum passing score is given over here. So if your score is above the minimum passing score, you pass. If your score is below the minimum passing score, you do not pass. It has to be at the minimum passing score or above that. So 1600 to 1900 is a passing range for CFA level 1. Level 2, level 3, the range is different. I'll explain that too. Don't worry. Let's understand how your report card is looking like. So we have the score, pass or did not pass, your score, and what is the minimum passing. Minimum passing score, by the way, is going to be fixed. So it is not going to change from Feb, May, August, November. That's the whole idea, that no matter which exam term you're taking, there should not be any partiality or biasness or something from the exam's point of view or your result point of view. That should I take a Feb is better, or a May is better, or August is better. All that is not going to be important or relevant over here. That is the whole idea of scaled score, to bring more consistency, to remove biases and all of that. Anyways, let's understand the exam result. This is fine. We've discussed this. Pass or did not pass is going to be provided over here. Sorry. Pass or did not pass is going to be provided. Your score is going to be provided as I discussed. The score you have attained in the exam. And this is not the raw score. This is a transformed score. We've discussed this. This is a transformed raw score. It is not a raw score. It has been scaled to a standard. And this is a minimum passing score. On or above this, equal to or greater than the score, 1600 or above, your pass. 1600 is also pass. And below 1600 is fail. Clear? Okay. Next part is, how do we see the graph? How do we look at the passing score? How do we look at the graph over here? So let's understand each component over here. So when I'm looking at the passing score for level 1, 2, and 3, this is your minimum passing score, this line, if you can see this. Can everybody see this? So this is your minimum passing score. This line is your minimum passing score, this line. If your score is above this, you pass. On or above is pass. Below is fail. So in level 1, if you have 1600 or above, you're going to be passing. If it is below 1600, you fail. 1599 fail, 1600 pass. Level 2 and level 3, your minimum passing score is different, 2600, 3600. So I will come to this, or if you want, I'll just draw this right away. So if I'm looking at L1, L2, L3, if I'm looking at L1, L2, L3, my minimum score is 1000, 2000, 3000. My maximum score is 1900, 2900, 3900. And my sweet spot is going to be 1600, 2600, 3600. In this phase, you pass. In this phase, you do not pass. In this phase, you do not pass. The idea is very simple, because in level 1, 2, and 3, your difficulty level, etc., might be different. That is why 3 different ranges have been used. So your level 1, level 2 is supposed to be a little more difficult, and they have to be on a different tangent in terms of testing your capability and all. That is why the minimum passing scores are different for the 3 levels. But from your point of view, it is not that relevant as such, from attempting the exam and passing and attempting the questions correctly and all. So I hope this is okay. So your minimum passing score is going to be different for each of the levels. The minimum to maximum range, you're understanding. So I'm assuming that if you answer every single question as 0, you should be over here. If you answer every single question 100% accurately, you should be over here. And it is not an interpolation or a pro rata thing in between. It is not that every 10% question you move 10% up. It is not going to be like that. There is a scaling and all involved. We will not be able to calculate from the raw score. You will not be able to calculate your standardized score. So let's not try and attempt that. On an average, you can assume your 1600, 2600, 3600 is 70% accuracy. 70% accurate answers will get you 1600, 2600, 3600 in level 1, 2, and 3 respectively. That is how we will look at it. Comfortable with this part? Let's see the individual pointers over here. So 1 was your minimum passing score. Obviously, we want to be above that. The dashed line over here, this dashed line that is given over here is basically the average score of people. It is the average score of all the people who've taken the exam. The minimum passing score is going to be above average, because normally we also see the passing rates to be somewhere around 40% or so, right? So this is the average of 100% candidates. This is the minimum passing score. So you need above average passing marks to pass the exam, right? Then this black line is your score. The black line is your score. This is what you have achieved in the exam. And if I'm looking at this range, this blue shaded area, what is the shaded area? This shaded area is basically the confidence level with which you would have attempted the exam. I'll explain this part. So those who've done quants and all will understand the confidence level better, as in quants in level 1. But this is the minimum passing score needed. Your score has to be above this to pass. If it is below this line, if your score is below the minimum passing score line, you fail. Did not pass is fail. The dotted line is the average of all the people. The blue line, basically, the blue rectangle box is basically a confidence level. We understand on the exam day, there could be some favorable factors that, your questions came from where you were more better prepared, or you slept well, you did well on the exam, etc. And unfavorable factors could be just the opposite. I was not well prepared, or that was not my good day. But even then, or more questions came from the areas that I did not prepare very well. So in the best case scenario, ideally you would have scored this much. And in the worst case scenario, you would have scored this much based on your current level of preparation. So with statistical data and all, we can create confidence intervals, which you study normal distribution in level 1 quants. So on an average, this would have been your score. But now please understand, please note over here, this is very important. Even if it was your best day, you would not have passed, because this rectangle is coming below this line. Even if it was your best day, you would not have passed, because your blue shaded area is below. That means you need to put in significant effort. Say, for example, if my blue shaded area was like this, that means there is like a 50-50 chance, because I could have not passed or passed depending on how good or bad the day was. So if I have not passed and my line is coming here, but there is still a high probability on a good day I will pass, so I need to put in little extra effort. In this case, I need to put in a lot of extra effort. But if your score would have been like this, that means even if it was my worst day, I would have done so, because I was so well prepared that I would have passed even if it was a very bad day for me. So that range tells you that in a worst day or a best day, with your current level of preparation, in all probability, how much your score would have been and whether you would have been above or below the minimum passing score. Tell me, comfortable? Easy? So this is this. Now the next part is going to be your score report card. So this is basically your subject-wise details given over here. All right. In the subject-wise detail, you can easily see a few things. So subject-wise breakup is going to be given: quants, eco, FSA, equity, etc. The weightage of each topic is given over here. For different levels, weightage for each subject changes. We know this. Now over here, when we are looking at the graph over here, just a moment, your topic weight is given. Achha. Now, when we are looking at this one, this is not giving us that standardized scaled score and all. It is now giving me the accuracy. So this is about what percentage of questions have you accurately attempted is what I'm getting. Here I'm getting that accuracy, that raw thing, but that what is the accurate percentage of accurate questions that you have, what is the percentage of questions you have answered accurately. Kitna question right hua per subject, so that I can understand that, how do I need to improve my preparation for each of the subjects. That is the reason why we have the 50% level and 70% accuracy level given away. Now for this subject, for example, your ethics has been very bad. And even on the best day, you would have performed here. Worst day, you would have performed here. The blue box meaning is same. Now, in this particular subject, you are again, in all these cases, even the best case scenario is more or less below 50. Here you are at the border of 50. So this is basically your score for each topic is providing. The line is giving you the score that you have, and the blue box is giving the range of score on a best day and a worst day. The same logic. But here we are not looking at the scaled score. Here we are looking at the accuracy. Now, please also understand, let me use another fresher one. Please also understand, let's say in corporate issuers, you have total 10 questions. I have marked 50% questions correctly, so your score is 5, raw score is 5. Let's say in quants, let's say, example, I have 20, or ethics, I have, let's say, 20 questions. Out of 20 questions, if I have marked 10% correctly, I have marked 2 questions correctly. Or let's say, for example, if I have marked 70% or 50% questions correctly, if I marked 50% questions correctly, I will get 10 questions right. So for 50% in corporate issuer, I'm over here with 5 right questions, but in ethics, I'm over here with 10 right questions because it is showing you percentage. Are you understanding this? So 50% does not mean 5 questions, 50% of the total weightage. Obviously, in a higher weighted subject, the higher percentage accuracy you have, more correct questions you've answered. Because individual subject is not the determining factor for your exam passing or failing. Your total score is going to be what is going to decide. Your total score is above 1600 or below, 2600 or below, 3600 or below for level 1, 2, and 3. That determines whether you passed or not the individual subjects. There could be some subjects where you've done really bad. It's okay. There are some subjects where you've done really very, very good. If I do very good in higher weighted subjects, my total score is going to get pulled up, right? So there is no minimum passing requirement for any subject as such. Comfortable till here? Having said that, I will tell you very clearly that ethics is very important. It is tested in all 3 levels. That is the reason why we follow that method of, doing so many examples which you can revise before the exam day, the way we do ethics. And also what happens over here is, in case you are more or less at borderline 1600, 1599 or so, your ethics score might be the determinant of pushing you above or below the margin. So the scaling will be done with ethics in such a way that it might be, if you're at the borderline, it might be the determining factor for passing or failing. So be very careful with ethics. Your accuracy has to be good. There is no other way but to practice. I've told exactly how to study and prepare for the ethics part. So that rectangle part was the scoring, the available points, 50%, 70%. We've seen this. So this is the available points, the actual available points. So out of available points, what percentage accuracy? I hope that is clear. The weightage of subject and all, it's giving you the percentage accuracy, not the number of questions that have been accurately answered. So there are some FAQs and all which I want to discuss, and let me just check if I've skipped anything. One part I just skipped mentioning. So if you notice in this case, there is a smaller confidence level for this, but there is a larger confidence interval for this subject. Can you see this? That is because this subject will have less number of questions. This has more number of questions. And for those who've done quants, those who understand confidence interval, please think about standard error. It used to be root over the sample size increases and the confidence level is going to sample size increases, confidence interval narrows because you'll be more confident. And if sample size decreases, your confidence interval has to widen because there has to be more room for error. Only for those who've done quants in CFA level 1 will understand this part. Large sample size, you have smaller confidence interval. I can more confidently say how will you perform on a normal given test day. And for less number of questions, your confidence interval is going to be larger. Are you understanding direct application of statistics in real world data? And the standardization and scaling of scores, etc., is also a statistical process. Tell me, is this okay? So minimum passing score we'll not be able to calculate exactly. That 1600, 2600 is going to be fixed across exam terms, so across terms or even across years. So until unless there is a major revamp in the syllabus or something like that, till then the MPS will not be changed, even over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Let's say converting from a paper-based exam to a computer-based exam after COVID, post-COVID, that time MPS needed to be changed because you've reduced the duration of exam time, number of questions has gone down, the exam format has changed, so MPS needs to be changed. So until and unless there is something drastically changing, wherein the student's capability is not correctly being evaluated, only then the MPS changes. So each year and each exam term, your MPS for each level is going to be the same. I gave you a ballpark figure with the 70% accuracy should be somewhere around the MPS. That's not accurate. So, and I've already told you in class that we are supposed to be targeting a higher accuracy. 70% is a bare minimum, like a thumb rule, right? This is going to be from 2025, all exam term onwards. We are going to be using this particular scale. Now we are not going to be getting a 90 percentile, etc., because in the previous report cards, we used to have that 90 percentile line and 70 percentile line that you have done in the top 10% students or etc. But now that is not available. But because of that exact accurate score that you have, that compared to 1600, how much have you performed for level 1, let's say, it is more precise because you have an exact number and not just the graph. And it is not with respect to the people in your batch, your exam term. It is across. So there is a lot of standardization that has happened in GMAT, SAT, etc. Most of the global exams and all are following these methods. So it's better in terms of transparency that we are following this. So this is fine. So you have more transparency. Of course, whatever score you have received, you can write on your resume. As long as you don't say that because I got 1800, 1700, I'm better. You can't write that. You can put your score, right? Obviously, based on the scaled score, how close you are to 1600 above or below, you can understand how much extra effort you need to put in or how much well prepared you are. And with the subject wise breakup, for the next level, for example, you passed, but in the next level, if you've seen that 2-3 subjects you've not done well, the accuracy is below 50% or so, you need to understand that you need to put in more effort in the next level for that particular subject. You cannot back calculate your raw score. You can't say that I got a 1700, so what is my raw score? Because we will not get that kind of data from the institute. To calculate that, you can't even back calculate percentile. That 1700 means I'm in the top 20 percentile. You can't calculate that. You can't say that this is your accuracy if this is the scaled score, because it is not linearly done. Na? That 1600, 70%, 1650, 72%, 1680, 73%. We don't have that kind of, that is not a linear scaling that has been done. So this is actually a better thing in terms of exam versions. So as I told you, all terms and all years, till there is some drastic change, your minimum passing score 1600 for level 1 is going to be constant. 26 and 3600 for level 2 and 3. Individual topic obviously is not going to be determining, as in I've already told you, individual topic passing failing is not what it determines. Individual scores all put together is going to give you your minimum passing score, your score, your scaled score. Now, how is that comparing to the 1600 standard score? Minimum passing score is what you need to compare. You don't have to pass individually in any subject. And I've already told you, higher weighted subject, higher percentage means more number of questions answered. 50% of a subject with 20 questions is not the same as 50% score in a 5 question subject or a 10 question subject, right? Ethics, I told you, is going to be a little more important. Please remember that. There will be no exam retabulation available now, given that everything is online and they have a lot of internal controls in place to check that there is no glitch, there is no issue. Of course, on the day exam center, if there is some kind of an issue, that's a different question. But otherwise, that shall not be an issue. So retabulation and all is not going to be needed. That is not going to be required. So all in all, it is a good move, more transparency, better understanding, better exact numerical understanding of the score. Subject-wise scores also we are seeing. A couple of things, like you cannot go back and see which questions were wrong. So that is something still pending, that I cannot go and check exactly which question I marked incorrectly and what would have been the right answer. For level 3, again, it's written answers also. So I will not be able to check my written answers or why my written answers were wrong or how much I got for each question and which question was right or wrong. So that is something you'll not be able to see. But compared to the previous result, report card, the format of the report card, this is of course better. So great. So there's not going to be much of a change in terms of your preparation. Just make sure that you're taking care of 70% minimum accuracy on the exam day and mock test and all. But you need to aim higher. You can't target 70 and get 70. You have to target much higher, follow everything that we have done, prepare well for ethics, take care of it. All the very best.